lovely. Welcome to the Hat Chat podcast, episode 47, on the 22nd of January 2021, with your hosts,
don't
Chris Trott.
Don't date it.
Why not? Why not?
Alex Smith.
You can date it, I'm joking. And I'm Ross Hornby. I'm glad that he got in there, though.
That lovely intro there. I like the rolling on and off of the keys there. It was very nice. Yeah, felt really...
It reminded me of like a seaside, kind of a Sisma, is it? Sisma with a Z in the middle. It reminded me of maybe like a beach resort. You're in Scunthorpe, maybe. Does Scunthorpe have a beach? Actually, I have no idea. Maybe you're just at Western Supermare. You're at Western Supermare. That's playing.
What have you done for that? What crime have you committed that you're in Western Supermare?
Oh, there is no crime. You don't have to commit a crime to be in Western Supermare. It's a beautiful seaside town in England. It's sandy beaches, beautiful buildings nearby. It's so grim that Banksy it's grim.
decided to set up Dismaland there. Dismaland, which was a piss take of Disney making it more like look how grotty this is rather than look how magical this is. And yeah, Western Supermare fit the bill pretty well. I recently went to Western Supermare. Well, not recently. I mean, the last time we could do anything, without risking our other people's lives. 2019, I went to Western Supermare to visit the helicopter museum there with my brother and my father, and it was very interesting. They have some amazing helicopters.
My brother and my father.
Mit meinen Mutter und Bruder und Schwester.
Meinen Bruder. So we went there, and it was interesting.
My brother
the town
and my
itself
sister and my father
on holiday.
Horrific.
Okay.
The pier was aflame and it had recently burned down. There was a big pier that sort of
I remember
burned down and then was basically washed away. And it just looks like such a fucking effort to rebuild a pier once it's screwed. You're like, just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Because honestly, have you ever seen a burnt down pier getting battered by waves and just how it just looks ruined?
How depressing.
Maybe you should. Maybe we should go on a
sounds very romantic
pier tour.
to me.
The worst pier tours of the UK.
I never went to any beaches that had piers. Did you guys?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A few. Minehead.
I mean, I will say the pier at Western Supermare is disappointing. It's just an arcade in there, and then
it's not great.
It's kind of substandard fish and chips.
Sorry, Western Supermare.
If you really like it there, again, I would apologise to anyone who really enjoys it there.
I mean, you didn't make the pier, so don't worry about it.
I didn't make it, but
no, they didn't either.
I'm slagging it off. I'm slagging off something they enjoy, and to be honest, it's just a bit naff, and that's fine. We are in the UK. We aren't known for our beaches, really. There's the White Cliffs at Dover. That's what people talk about. See them on a sunny day if you can.
Well,
a rare sunny day.
That is a sweeping statement.
What beaches are good?
The Dorset coastline and the Cornish coastlines are both. And the Devonshire coastlines as well. All
Newquay's all right as well.
There are some nice coastlines, but we're not. Yeah, you wouldn't go. Oh, where should we go? Should we go to the Caribbean or should we go to the UK for our sunny holiday? It's not the same. It's not the same. Consideration, is it? No.
It's not the reason you'd visit the UK if you were to choose to come to the UK. If you're from outside UK, it wouldn't be for the beaches, would it?
I guess you're right. I think a lot of people come for the history and the landscape, I suppose. I mean, it really there are some fantastic beaches, but the problem is the weather is so unpredictable that
that's the downside.
If it's raining, the beach is still a shit place to be, no matter what country you're in, I think.
And the sludgy, low visibility ocean as well, as we've all experienced scuba diving.
It's not great.
Where are we? I don't know. This is very dangerous.
Costa del Western.
Western Supermare.
It's nice to even think about holidays and going to beaches and piers, because obviously we can't right now, but we have been going back through all the times that we have been on a trip recently. So if you don't know, Hat Films, we've done a lot of trips in the past. We've talked about them probably on this podcast a lot. But recently, we thought we'd watch our vlogs again live with everyone watching as well, and kind of giving like a live commentary and some insight. And I thought that's been pretty nice to handle the fact that we're stuck inside right now, to look at all the good times that we've had in an RV, and getting really, really drunk and regretting our actions the day after. I say mostly mine. But yeah, that's been interesting recently, and I think people are receiving it quite well. It's also fun to see
nice to watch it back.
How strange it is just having conventions and crowds of people and no care. Like the amount of times we saw Smith just sneeze openly at us in so many of our videos, whilst we're cooking or making pancakes.
It was a simpler time.
A simpler time.
The kind of things you could catch were. I mean, a lot of the time when I do sneeze openly, it's when I know I'm not ill. You know, like I wouldn't come in with a cold and sneeze on people.
Of course.
It's usually a reaction to an allergy or some particulate in the air. Just very sensitive, extremely sensitive. You know,
and you want to just unload on one of our faces, and that's
I'm just like, well, here we go. This is
time to cover this up.
Load. I'm like, right, this one isn't going to kill him. So maybe.
Do you think your behaviour is going to change after this?
Probably.
I think
your behavior changes constantly, doesn't it? Like I never used to find certain noises annoying, and I find them more annoying now. You know,
like what?
Like the sound of people, because obviously now everyone's at home and you're on Discord a lot. People are eating at home and on Discord more often, right? And but I find not necessarily the eating sounds, but the fucking sounds of people biting cutlery is the thing that gets me. Like when people smash their teeth on like spoons and forks, and I'm just like, holy fuck, that's driving me insane. So I mean, that's an example of how behaviors change.
Trott, why don't you describe something that you I guess suffer from that might relate to this?
Something I've been mocked for a long fucking time. Yeah, I hate the sound of people eating, especially when it's in a microphone. I got headphones on and we're all hooked up to a mixer. Yeah, it sucks.
What, is it called misophonia?
Yeah, I mean...
Misophonia? Yeah.
Speculation
just like tiny,
on...
discrete little sounds that are very like kind of... Like someone chewing or like slapping their lips together and stuff like that.
So it's
like,
a direct response. It's like
sounds.
It's a reactive response. There's no filter there. It's just immediate anger and irritation and frustration. As soon as I hear these things, there's no like processing of thought. It just drives me insane as soon as I start hearing it. And then obviously that's not a good headspace for me to then talk to someone saying, do you mind awfully if you just not eat right now? That often is an antagonistic thing that I say because it comes out in a bad way of like, shut the fuck up or stop eating so loud.
You've thrown your headphones off of your head and said, no, not listening to this.
It just boils over.
Smith's just had a sandwich or a claggy.
I've not got quite to the level where I'm throwing the cans off of my head. But it's definitely like it's nice to have volume sliders on people on Discord, you know, like
having that
bring
that
down
mute
a little bit
for sure. I've had it all my life.
No more words originals during recordings, guys. That's the rule.
Clacking around
your teeth.
That's the ultimate, isn't it? Really hard sweets clanging against the teeth,
or mints or whatever. Yeah. Ugh.
It's also like spittle and phlegm in the mouth that shouldn't be there, or that they haven't taken a drink in a while and they got real dry mouth, and it's all slapping and sticking.
Spittle.
What?
Just the way you're describing it. Just when a person has spittle or phlegm in their mouth that shouldn't be there. He wiped the spittle from his
a ball of
overly
spit at the
moist
back of their mouth.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, when people. It's just funny to hear the word spittle being used, and I just associate it with like Charles Dance or someone, you know, like spittle on the lip of that man. You know, so kind of Shakespearean almost. Anyway, go on.
Thank you. I'll take it as a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's
misophonia.
It's an observation.
I don't think it's been scientifically like, yes, this is a real thing yet. Right. However, I think there's a lot of research going into it maybe that's quite an interesting point, considering a lot of people are just having Zoom calls and stuff, and mics are like right in the mouth, and Smith's getting it. I wonder if anyone else is like got worse over the lockdown of like just being irritated by things that didn't used to annoy them because they could get away from it or walk outside or didn't have to speak in such close proximity.
Yeah, exactly. Your behavior, this is what I was saying, your behaviors change over time naturally, and those behaviors are shaped by your environment a lot of the time. So, like, you know, if I had to work in a fucking factory where the main sound of the machinery was the sound of a guy clacking a Werther's Original around his teeth, I'm sure eventually I would be like, well, I've got to work here. I just got to get used to it, you know? And your behavior changes based on that external stimuli. But obviously...
But is it just the sound, or is it the fact that you know it's a Werther's Original in someone's mouth? Because I think that's a part of it.
I think it is a part of it.
The annoyance, because it's kind of like there's a disgust level there, rather than there's a machine tapping around
it seems like it's a negligence. I feel like I know how to eat quietly. There's definitely a part of me. I think that's just a manifestation of anger, though, because you start creating a scenario whereby I know I can do better. They're definitely doing it on purpose now, and to spite me, and that all just goes through your head, and you conjure this horrible imagery of like what they're really doing. They're doing out of malevolence and spite.
You start, definitely.
That's just what anger does, though. You create a story where they're the evil and you're the good. But
I don't know. Stop immediately, or do you kind of wait until they kind of realize?
I try and bide my time.
Let it linger?
I know every time I've ever said something to anyone about like
eggs them on.
No one likes to be called out that they're eating loudly. It's like whoa, what? You're listening to me eat, and like I wasn't doing anything, on purpose. And it's kind of like quite an embarrassment, like defensive thing where it's like, oh, you're consciously aware of me doing this right now? That's kind of invasive in some way, I imagine. I don't know. I know I would be called out. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know I had fucking jizz on my teeth. Sorry. Fuck, how embarrassing. Yeah. It's like walking out with like boogers up your nose or whatever. It's like no one really wants to be told that, but also it's like your instinct is to say, it's 'cause shit.
In part, like eating is like a vital human function, right? Like I think that's probably part of it where people are like, what? Like, I've got to eat. Like, I guess. I don't know.
Which is why I try and bide my time, but all it does is bottle up that anger to the point where I'm like, nope! Headphones are off.
Yeah, but you only do that if, like, let's say, hypothetically, the person you've told then doubles down and decides to do it right into the microphone, maybe a little bit louder. That might antagonize that reaction.
I have faced this before. I mean, again, natural reaction. Being backed into a corner, being called out on something. What do? You could fight back. It's a normal thing, I think. No one really likes to be told not to do these things, and then some people like to go like, "Well, fuck you, I'm doing it doubly so," because I know it gets a reaction. But again,
now you've revealed your weakness. That's your kryptonite.
Yeah, well, that's the risk of telling them that you want them to be quiet, right? You don't want to draw attention to it either. So it's like this gamble.
It's a battle in your mind of like, I can't handle it, but I also don't want people to know.
It's almost like this whole like concept of having to deal with this, like these social interactions would be made much easier if you just learned to live with the sound of people eating.
And I love this sort of mentality based on it. Just deal with it. Like, don't be sad anymore. Why are you so depressed? Just stop being sad. It's a great argument, and I think, you know what? I'm going to take that on board and stop letting it get to me.
Okay. No, I know. But yeah, like I say, I've noticed that change in my my understanding.
Anything that you've noticed, Ross? Any behavioural changes whilst you're in lockdown?
Not from other people. Not really. No. I've not had too many, other than the calls we have, like which I'm kind of used to anyway from the years of recording we've done anyway. So nothing extreme. No. However, last week we actually asked people to write some stuff in or like give us some things to talk about. And this one kind of is in a similar ballpark, at least with the hygiene
Go
element.
on. Yeah.
And this is from Lachlan.
Before you get fully
Hanlon?
into that,
okay.
When have you been in a ballpark?
I guess I was in one. Well, not an American-style ballpark, but a park where you throw balls for dogs. Does that count?
I think
because I would say today
you can use balls is a ballpark.
I just
but in
find
terms
the
of a
word weird. Like we've never used it
park,
ever.
Yeah.
Other than that saying.
Yeah. Yeah. The saying is just ballpark figure, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Lachlan. He says here. So he's got a question here saying, "What's the worst thing you've dropped and then brushed it off?" So I'm guessing this is in terms of either food or something maybe that you wear. In this example he's given, he says he knows, so he's Australian, he says he knows some crumb who dropped his new sunglasses in an airplane toilet and just washed it off in the little sink. Right, which, I guess if you wash it thoroughly, sure, but...
Well, you don't want to fucking accidentally press the button on an airplane toilet, do you? Oh my god, worst nightmare.
No, yeah, that either.
Try and jam your hand down there just as you press the button. Like,
Trying to
they
think.
seem very dangerous. Like I'm surprised more accidents don't happen with airplane toilets. I
don't know how bad the suction is though. I've never gone.
It sounds
do you flush
terrifying.
while sitting, or do you stand first afterwards?
I always flush while sitting. I like the buzz. The risk.
I wonder if there's.
I try and close my legs up as well, so it creates a vacuum around, like a suction around my ass.
A clean suction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do pre-poop. Just suction and then press the button and hope it just does
help the process along.
Yeah. No, that sounds dangerous.
So apparently,
it's like sitting on the bottom of a pool.
According to this website, again, this is all speculative. I've got some facts about airplane toilets if you'd like to hear about that.
Okay.
I personally, to answer the question, the most recent thing I can think of that I've dropped and brushed off is I had a packet of marshmallows in the toilet. Don't ask me why. And I dropped it into the toilet. I don't know. I really need a piss. And I was like, I had all these snacks ready to go to the PC. And I was like, I'll just go to the toilet. And I was like, where do I put them? I'll just hold on to them. Okay. Drop them in the toilet in this plastic packaging. Wiped it off some toilet roll, kept eating. So
well, I mean, the packaging, you're all right. I mean, what?
I don't know if there's any holes.
You have to measure. You have to measure the thing. Yeah. So,
had you gone? Was there stuff in the bowl?
Yeah.
Both kinds?
Fuck.
No, just a pee.
Oh,
just a pee.
Then you're all right.
Oh,
just a bit
okay.
Yeah. Uri Geller does it.
I guess you have to. You have to weigh up the obviously there's packaging, so it covered the product you were actually consuming, so that's fine. It wasn't like dropping a buttered toast and the butter lands right face down,
and it just soaks up all the piss
and
like
picks up piss.
You bite into it, it just dribbles down your face.
And also the type of food is very important. Like if it's already sticky and wet, you probably wouldn't even bother. Right, if it's wet already or has sauce on it, you're probably like, wow.
Oh, my tomato soup! My Lucozade orange. I guess I'll just scoop a bit.
Soak it up with tissue paper and suck it off. No, that's not going to work. Don't do that.
Like Lucozade, a bit like piss.
Bit of both. I think it's even worse now that there's a dog around. Like even if although saying that, I've probably done that with M&Ms. I think I've dropped an M&M and just been like, what's the harm? I mean,
that's fine.
Dog hair, sure.
But I'm used to eating dog hair.
Like if it's down there for like an hour, would you bother? Or if it's down there for 5 seconds? Do you have a second rule? Do you think that works?
Well,
do we know the science?
I have to have seen it. I've had to have seen it being dropped, right? That's my statement.
That makes sense.
Yes.
If I've seen it been dropped, then I understand.
It's not gone anywhere.
Discoverer. I'm not an eater discoverer. I'm a
marshmallows in the toilet.
Discover some things out.
Yes, please.
That feels like we've been taught in life not to do. I once did that as a child. I ate what I thought was white chocolate button on the side of a like a cupboard. Like a work surface in a kitchen. I ran in as a hungry little 8-year-old. I was looking around my nan and granddad's kitchen, thinking like, what can I eat? Because my nan and granddad always used to have like chocolate and sweets and things that my parents wouldn't get me. So I'd be like, right, what can I find? And I found a single white tablet but it was like one of the ones that has like the sugar shell almost, so it's like shiny.
Yeah.
So it looked to me like a white chocolate, like minstrel.
Paracetamol.
So I popped that fucker and started chewing it. Immediately, just a bitter taste hits my mouth. And I've eaten, I think, one of my granddad's like blood thinning medications or something.
Oh fuck!
And so,
Jesus.
And I'm like, no, I just ate something on this side, and like almost instantly, my granddad or uncle came around the corner into the kitchen. They were like, "Did you just eat that tablet that was on the side there?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's really horrible. What was it?" And they're like, "That wasn't a sweet." And I was just like, "Who leaves an unattended pill on the side of the fucking counter?"
Yeah, right. That's pretty negligent.
Start shaking you. You're going to die. You're going to die, son.
Is this it? I didn't get much of an innings. I'm 8.
Quickly, throw up. He just starts fingering your mouth.
It was a wildly unsafe kitchen. Like this is the same kitchen that I jumped up onto the side of to try and reach something, and put my belly directly over a recently switched off electric hob on the top of the oven. So but luckily I had a pair of Y fronts and a vest, like a string vest on as like a 5-year-old kid, and I had like a burn mark on the white of the vest where the fucking hob had just gone onto my stomach.
Like a grid.
Yeah,
oh my God, that's fucking horrible. Flashbacks to literally last year when I burnt my hand in a similar way.
Oh yeah,
like just straight on where that bubbled up. Like my hand basically just
that's quite the bubble.
Like burn blister on it, which was just awful. Like to do that on your stomach is just that's awful. That's horrible. But yeah, you've got to be careful with those electric hobs. They stay hot for a long time.
They do. They're fucking dangerous. I still hate them to this day.
I think
anyway, in response to the question, I think for me, the biggest thing that I've had to shrug off in recent memory was dropping a drone into a river in Scotland, because it was like an absolutely raging river, and it like went around the corner in this massive ravine. I was like, oh, this is really cool, like flying this thing around, like, oh, it's going to be really good. And then like it goes around a corner, something fell off of the top of, this is why, this is the risk of flying a drone low. Something fell off of the top of like one of the cliffs and just clattered the fucking prop, and the thing just tumbles and just disappears into this raging torrent. And I'm just like,
there goes
imagine going from like, yeah, this is really cool,
enjoyable shots, it's going to look great,
to just tumble. I'm just like,
oh fuck!
I can't walk. The river. If I go near it, it's going to kill me. So it's like, it was such a sort of just an instant, like it's just gone, and it's just like, whoa, fuck! Like, but it's. I don't feel that a lot of the time, like anger in those situations particularly serves you. It's like,
well, no,
you're just like, it's like in car crashes and things like that. I think obviously naturally the first thing you want to do is just like, fuck! Like, oh my god, like Jesus Christ, like. That thing's just such a valuable thing has just dropped into.
I don't think
it depends on how replaceable that is as well. Like to you in terms of like if it's like, oh, that's a fucking family heirloom and like I've lost it forever. Like that's gonna probably make you more angry, sure. But something which is like, yeah, okay, take a breath. Sure, it's gonna be angry. But
we had like a form of insurance as well, so it didn't cost us as much, which was good. Actually, that recently happened to me on a boat in the summer. I was on like a rib, like a speedboat thing, inflatable speedboat thing, and I was bouncing along, and I looked the wrong way, and my glasses that I bought in Ashland in Oregon, just the wind just took them off my face.
Oh yeah, the ones that had Smith on them.
Yeah, and I was just like, fuck, god damn it, like they're just in the bottom of the sea now off the coast of Devon somewhere. And I was just like, definitely that one hurt more. I was just like, oh, they weren't that expensive, but like, god damn it, those are actually, I bought them back from like that trip and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just picture that gif. Have you seen that gif of that guy in the plane where he then lifts up his phone slowly to take a shot on the outside and it just flicks away because obviously he's traveling much faster than he expected. Yeah. So he's there just gently raising his phone to start taking a nice little camera shot, and then it just flicks instantly out of his hand. He's like, and his face is just priceless. It's so funny. Yeah. That is just amazing. I love that.
But that feeling of like, it's just
that
gone.
realization.
Like that
oh fuck! I'm never getting that back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, like because we don't. Well, I mean, we do. I think we do appreciate how cool our phones are and how amazing they are, and I think that is it. Like, you know, these portals to the digital world, these cameras, these communication devices, and they're just, yeah, that's gone. That's just gonna break from falling out of a high place, mate. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Also, just like it reminds me that I haven't backed up my phone in ages.
No.
Ever dropped a baby? No, I haven't dropped a baby. No,
not recently.
Not recently.
I tried to cut the habit.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Have you ever dropped a phone in a toilet? Or
no.
Maybe, I know that.
Well, I dropped that phone in that bath that time we were doing that stream.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, they're all waterproof now. So.
I've dropped a phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
I did an impressive drop out of an Uber where it fell off the seat, slipped off as I was closing the door on the car, and it managed to perfectly trap and smash the screen in the door of the car. So that was good. Perfect timing. And it just opened the door.
It got caught in the door, so it slammed on it, basically.
It perfectly hit the bottom of the door as I closed it, wedged it in there, smashed the screen, and then I had to open the door and it popped out the bottom, all smashed up.
But
Trott,
this was the luckiest timeline because you could have just left the phone in the back of that car and never saw it again.
True. At least I very much saw it and heard it crunch.
Yeah.
And then I got it replaced. Sound? It was like not nice. Like a lot of, it's an expensive product, right? An iPhone. And hearing that crack like that and just kind of crumble a little bit, little shards of glass coming out. I got it replaced the next day, which is pretty awesome. On our insurance, kind of crazy, thankfully.
The resources are amazing that go into these like little devices as well. Like, you know, the complexity and the materials, you know, that are being used to go into these things. They are quite precious in a lot of, you know, like not just because of the role they play in our lives, but how advanced and how amazing they are. It really is.
When they break,
quite
how expensive it is.
But the one thing that amazes me is the people who don't like put cases on them ever. Like, and also like, well, in the same breath, like when they have phones that are a specific color, because you're going to probably put a case on it anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're living dangerously. They don't give a shit if their phone gets cracked. I think it's, well, I've got the phone. It feels nice as it is. Sure.
Is it because of the whole contract system? Where it's like it's a rental now, so it's like I know in a year I'm gonna upgrade anyway. It doesn't really matter. Is it that kind of?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I've always had a
case on it.
Yeah.
I've always had cases like since we started getting company phones. I've always had a case on it because the amount of times I've actually dropped it and it's actually helped as well. Like they're quite simple cases. Like the ones we use are like just the Apple like round the back ones. But they actually have saved them a few times, and
it
totally.
From
it does frustrate me though, because I mean I understand people who don't want to use cases because it's like, well, I bought this phone, this is designed to work as it is. Like, why should I have to clad it in something? And I do get that, but the reality is they're still not durable enough to survive a drop. I think without a bit of protection.
Yeah.
Like,
also they're quite slippy now with the new designs in terms of like just being all slick and glossy. It's like, I don't know. I think I'm just worried about being clumsy with a really expensive device. Fair play if you're not too bothered. That's on you, I guess.
I mean, it's going to happen to you, and it's going to be a sudden, huge expense. So it's inevitable. It's not going to be your fault necessarily. You can be the most careful person in the world. Someone's going to bump into you. It's going to be their fault.
Indeed.
But you're still going to have a
Always
smash
wear a
phone.
condom.
I'd rather have a case. But the annoying thing about this case in particular, the Apple rubber ones, the cheap silicone ones, cheaper, should I say? They're not cheap at all. They stick in your pocket. They're hard to get in and out of your pocket. They just like get wedged and stuck because of the rubber.
How sticky is yours?
As in like
have you managed
friction. You're wearing leather pants, I'm guessing, right?
Leather pants all the time. It's squeaky.
It's annoying. Today, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
even jeans.
You need to make sure that you dip the phone in talcum powder before you put it in your pocket. You know that.
Yeah,
powder your hands.
True.
He puts goes
in all the pores.
Chalk they use for weightlifting, he's rock climbing.
A whole bucket.
What's the chalky hands for? I've got a rubber case.
I've got a rubber case.
I'm amazed.
Out my leather pants. Fun feature of your phone. I wash my phone, right? Because it's the newest ones are like water resistant to the point. I wipe it down. and I plugged in my car to connect up the CarPlay or whatever, and it tells you if there's residue in the lightning connector and that it's not going to charge until it's dried out, which is interesting.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm glad it's got that, because otherwise it would have shorted my whole phone and destroyed it. So there you go. I did that little test for anyone.
It's not the one upside of the lightning connector. It's intelligent enough to do things like that. Well, I mean, there's not the one upside. It was a good connector up until USB-C came along. Like, it's time to change. Time to make a change.
Indeed.
Well, anyway.
But have you ever actually dropped... I mean, the real question was about dropping something and brushing it off, though. As in, like, have you ever... I guess, have you ever, like, dropped something into something dirty and just said, yeah, fuck it, I'll have it?
Oh, what? They meant literally brush it off.
Brushing something off. Well, I mean, the example was dropping sunglasses in an airplane toilet and then just, I guess, whacking them back on again.
I did mine, the marshmallows in the toilet. Boom.
Yours was marshmallows. And then his was the river. I don't know if I've done it, though.
I mean, it's nothing...
I
thought they meant...
accidentally fingering a dog poo. That's happened.
You've done...
You've done...
Well, yeah, like the bag I was using to pick up a dog poo slipped slightly, and then I just ended up just scooping it with my finger. Now, obviously, like, I just basically had to kind of hold my finger away until I got back home to wash it off.
You didn't use it. You didn't use your hands.
That's recently.
Did you smell it?
Your fingers.
Well, I tried not to. Did I smell the poop up close? No, I didn't, because I knew there was poop. There was visible poop on there.
You can smell it in the bag.
Leaves nearby.
Were you ever like, I wonder how bad this smells?
Well, no, I can smell it though.
Curiosity.
So I did smell it. So already I had the waft, but now I have the visible poop on finger, and that's when you're in a dangerous situation, because you're just like, well, now what am I going to touch next? Because that will have poop on it. So you have to either, like, you know, basically quarantine your hand from use for a bit. But in terms of items, I haven't really dropped anything that's...
Did you rub your eyes?
No, I did smear it into my eyes. Yeah, I did. I smeared it right into my eyes, made sure my eyes were open.
Didn't smell it, but you smeared it.
And then I had a little taste as well, because I thought, well, why not? Let's see what this fucker tastes like. Oh, it does taste like shit. And then I shoved it up my nose just to get the extra bogey at the back.
And the smell,
obviously, I gobbled that down straight afterwards.
Oh, mixture.
With the shit.
Excellent.
So I had all those things.
Why?
Then I went back to the eye again because it was itchy from the first time. And then I had dipped it in my ear for the extra wax, just to maybe cover it over. And then I just popped it in my bottom.
It's like a Neapolitan ice cream.
To mix them.
Yeah.
Ross, so I don't think you should do that. I think I would counsel against action like that in the future.
Yeah, that was reckless, I think. Yeah. The end bit was the worst bit.
For some reason I had a really weird flashback then of a time when I did go to the park, and there was a guy, it was pitch black, there was no one else there. There was a guy just against a tree, and I assumed he was just taking a piss, and, you know, sure, it's nature, whatever. But then he came running towards me and was basically like, "Have you seen a deer?" And I was like, "No, I haven't seen a deer." He goes, "There's a deer on the loose. I'm trying to find the deer. That's why I'm here." He was basically trying to explain why he was there. Now, he was either maybe he was doing drugs. There have been people doing drugs near those parks before. Sure. Maybe he was just taking a piss. I don't know. But he felt the need to start hurriedly hunting for a deer, even though I could see him before. He was quite comfortably near that tree, not looking for a deer. But that for some reason, that reminded me of that, and I don't know why. There was no fingers in bum.
You sounded paranoid.
So could there have been deer conceivably in the area, do you think? Was it wild and open enough?
Sure, it wasn't. It's quite a closed off park near a train, like a train tracks nearby. So like I doubt. I mean, it could have been.
I've seen
like a very odd story to start.
Well, he might have seen a wild deer and thought that it was like someone's deer that had escaped. Like I was once in Sardinia, and we were driving along, and there was a tortoise crossing the road, and I was like, "Whose tortoise is this that's escaped?" I didn't realize that tortoises are actually native to Sardinia.
Right, okay.
So we picked the tortoise up, like this really big tortoise, like 4 times the size of my head. Is the only bit you can actually see right now. So 4 times the size of my head, this big old tortoise, picked him up, and we went to the nearest garden. Like, there's literally a house to the left-hand side of the road. We just plopped him in their garden, and because we thought, like, oh, he must have escaped. And then later on, like, because it was quite a long time ago, I didn't have the internet, like, on a phone or anything. I Googled it, and I was like, oh, they're just native. So we just put this fucking big old tortoise in somebody's garden. They're going to come out and be like, there's a tortoise
wild
out
tortoise.
I'm
Here we go again.
Dad.
Would it be too cruel to just put it on its back and then say, "I'm sure someone will find you," and then walk off? It's not going to go anywhere.
Spin it like a bottle.
Just spin it for a minute. Just see how long it goes. That is.
No, don't do that. That would be incredibly cruel.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. Funny concept.
Yeah.
Interesting concept indeed. Yes, of course.
People don't own deer either, but like, yeah, I figure that maybe if they're a little bit wacky, that's what they may have thought. They might have gone.
Yeah.
Got to find the deer.
He said, yeah. I was on the phone to the RSPCA, and so he was making up that. Well, he explained that part, whether he was making up or not. But yeah, the tree was like right towards a fence, and like he could have been having a wank for all I know. Like that. This is what I walked in on. It didn't look like he was looking for any animals. Well, I mean, maybe it was slang. Some people are saying maybe it was slang for dogging, and maybe it is. Have you seen a deer nearby? Wink, 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 wink.
Well, you know.
No, I haven't seen any deer nearby.
Couple of antlers.
My dog in peace.
Just
want to walk my dog in peace.
Big pronged bastards.
Interlocking antlers.
Antlers. Have you never seen one before? It's just Patronus, don't you know?
I can show you one.
Sure, okay.
Why are you shouting at me about never seeing a deer before? I'm familiar with the concept. What's the matter? Never seen a deer before?
Expecto Patronum.
Weird man, never seen a deer.
Weirdo.
Antlers.
How can you go your whole life not seeing a deer?
What you're talking about.
I got berated by a man who found it funny I'd never seen antlers before. What is it? Well, this town is crazy. I've had enough of this town. And Ross walks back with his face covered in dog shit. He looks like, he's put like lines under his eyes.
Yeah. The bag slipped. I had to. It's the poop bag.
Nothing to do with me. I've got to buy thicker poop bags.
I need to
go back briefly to toilets and airplanes. Dropping stuff in. Apparently, taking a flight makes you more likely to want a poop, and you average 2.5 times per trip to the toilet.
Okay.
Do you think
is that because the pressure inside you is greater than the less pressure outside?
Probably
and the poo naturally
something like
moves.
That. Probably.
I tried to do it before, like just before.
Right.
The flight.
That's a smart idea.
Right. I think so. Just because nobody likes the airplane toilets. They're always they're tiny and it suctions and it's very loud and
that's the thing. Are you worried that your insides are gonna get torn out if you sit down?
No, it's normally you go in there and there's that kind of warm feel that you walk in there.
Other people are being
kind of hit with the warmth. You're hit with there's an atmosphere in the air. You can smell it. You can smell someone else has just done a shit. So that's in the air. That's wafting there. But someone else probably before that also did a shit. So there's several people who have done a shit in this toilet, and you're walking in there. There's heat wafting off, and then the atmosphere is not good. It's not a good pooping environment.
So
knowing and breathing in those poop particulate, if you will.
I go to the toilet for like something else to do on planes.
Sometimes,
just break up the day.
Yeah. Just I love the smell of other people's shit. Actually, that's what it was.
Yeah, that as well.
I was just
never go in there.
Quite the high. Yeah.
First of all,
airplane
always wear your shoes in there. Never wear just socks because it's
filthy.
God, it's disgusting. It's really filthy. Other things apparently like flight attendants hear and see throughout the.
I always go in there in socks, Trot. Am I in trouble?
Just burn those socks. Burn them.
Really?
You're carrying tons of bacteria
in your mouth
and shit. People that miss the bowl, all the kinds of stuff like baby changing. Yeah, it's horrible. 747 flight averages about 416 people, right? So at the end of a flight, a long haul flight, 230 gallons of waste is in the airplane. At the end. It's quite a lot. It doesn't just get ejected into the air like most people think.
Oh no!
That vacuum is because it's a waterless system.
What's this? It's just a bit of airplane poo.
It's over the Atlantic. It's fine.
Don't stick your tongues out, kids. It's not snow.
It's raining brown again. It's raining brown.
Christ, I hate living
why do they always do it over our house? Every time. Every Monday. It's just a vacuumless system, guys. And it all gets pushed back to the back of the airplane where it gets vented out when it lands. Sometimes
that makes sense. Makes sense.
Apparently,
what about in ships or ferries? Do they dump?
Shit over the side. classic.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. So you just shit over the side. That's a personal choice.
That's why it's called a porthole, Ross.
Also, that's why it's called a porthole. You have to smash it open and poop through it. Perfect.
Shit through it. Yeah.
Do they store it as well, or do they just dump it to the sea? Because obviously, like, well,
that's a good question.
You're in the middle of the
Probably
ocean.
Depends on the ship.
That shit just go straight back down there, or
it's all about buoyancy, isn't it?
A law against that.
It's all about buoyancy. Got to have hollow shits.
Hollow shits.
Well, I mean, it's about displacement, of water.
Surface area.
Exactly. So you want the biggest surface area possible,
but not dense.
No, ideally not. No.
I'm gonna say they store it. I feel like they wouldn't dump it.
They dump it in
where it gets filtered and recycled and used in lots of different things. And then you can eat it. No, well, you can drink it. I mean, we do filter our sewage water so we can drink it again. So
the ISS has a robust system of using the wastewater and filtering it back into drinking water, so that you're essentially drinking recycled piss water on a daily basis on the ISS. About that
too much when you're drinking.
I'm sure they got more pressing matters to worry about, like the vacuum of space and dying at any moment's notice. Because it's a screw loose or something. That would be on my mind all the time. It's like, we're trapped in a fucking thing spiraling around Earth all the fucking time, guys. Like, all the time. Enough about this drinking piss malarkey. We're stuck in this tiny container spiraling out of control, constantly falling at an orbit. It's crazy. Why am I up here? If you had to filter, I'm not qualified.
If you had to filter your own piss to drink it, like, if you had to manually do that process, obviously I guess it's like filtered multiple times. You'd be thinking twice a bit more, though. Do you not think? Or would you be like, well, this is fine. This has got to be fine. You can drink your piss alone.
I hate to break this to you, but Bristol water is all recycled piss.
I know. That's why I'm trying
Brita filters are little pellets of piss. Yeah.
This sounds like conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I've been reading up. I know what I'm talking about.
You've been reading up.
Also, back to airplane toilets, you'll be pleased to know Boeing released in 2016 a prototype of a new toilet that's larger.
It's all off the top of your head. I like it.
What do you mean? It's all off the top of my head.
These are Trott facts.
It's Trott facts. I just know this stuff. And apparently, after each use, there's UV light, which will destroy all the bacteria, which just blast the area once you leave. They're positioned so they hit all the important areas, so right up the butt, I imagine. It's not going to do it to you. It will do it to all the the toilet. Hands-free faucets as well. I don't know why that's still not quite a thing. You get like the sensors, but then you have like a squeezy bottle on the side anyway, so it's just redundant. But yeah, it's money, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're going to do one, you may as well do all, right? Yeah.
Indeed. Update the fleet.
They just will only spend money unless it either makes them more money or they are eventually forced to by ethics. That's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see an increase of that now, considering the recent, just the pandemic in general? Do you think there's going to be more of a pickup on,
only if someone makes them
washing facilities? Think so?
I think only if governments make private companies do it, because again, unless customers are actively avoiding you because you don't have those things in place, they're not worth investing in, because as a private company, public health is not, whilst, there's laws surrounding, consumer laws around like duty of care and all this sort of stuff to your customers. But ultimately, like, kind of part of the problem, we've had in the UK is this idea of whose responsibility is public health. And if somebody says one thing is the right thing to do, or don't do this or don't do that, then like you can't expect companies to go above and beyond, I think, unless it's going to make them money, because literally they have to pay for it.
There's a fear of flying now, and they have to do it to draw in more people. That's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. It'll happen if it's required to make money. But a lot of the time, is
it happening now? Because not many people are coming in. This would be the perfect time for them to say like how sanitary and new our toilets and stuff are. But
then you're asking them to spend money in a time where they're historically making less
no
money as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, not saying that these companies, we should have any particular feelings about it. It's just, that's probably the reality. It's like, well, yeah, you're right. There's time to update the fleet, but also we're not making any money to pay for those upgrades, I suppose. So,
I think we will see an increase, though. I mean, only because of like when there were gaps where people were returning to the offices and stuff. They were like, oh, don't worry, we've got, hand washing stations everywhere, sanitizer everywhere. We've, done this, that, and the other. So, like, I wonder when they start phasing that back, that will be the pull that helps people. So maybe, I don't know. I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it, that's for sure. So that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, because obviously, whenever you go into the toilet, you're like trying to avoid touching anything, especially public toilets or toilets where
felt gross even back
there's always
then.
one cubicle that's filled with tissue and detritus.
And people missing the little bin.
And there's someone continuously just layers that until it's just out of control.
I would say
you can't really trust any of the health.
When have you ever got sick though from a toilet? Like,
how would I know?
Like, symptoms, or when is it actually?
It doesn't come on
kind of
straight
playing devil's
away.
advocate here. Well, because there's a big thing to be said for. Yes, obviously in this, and I will say, like, obviously right now during a pandemic where it's literally killing people, like, absolutely 100%, like, you need to make sure you do everything to stop getting this and spreading it. Like, I'm not saying that against that. What I'm saying is that exposure to things that don't kill you helped you to have a healthy immune system. Equally, as children, there's been some research to suggest that children exposed to more microbial cultures in things like soil and, for example, allowed to grow up with pets and outside and things like that, have
children are different to adults.
Better functioning immune systems.
What I'm saying, I'm just using that as kind of an example of what I mean by this. Not to create like a sterile environment is not necessarily the best environment for us. Like, I understand why we're doing it now.
I'm not saying the environment needs to be sterile. My hands should be sterile, though, I think. Just because if I'm touching other things,
but if you're sterilizing them all the time, you also need to make sure you're moisturizing them all the time as well, because that alcohol is taking all of the oils out of your hands. So you need to make sure that you'll have them moisturized more.
Like, just washing them in general. Like, I've always been taught as a child to wash your hands, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on the environment. Like, if you're going to do is all I'm saying. Like, as in, I don't know whether necessarily, and like I say, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't know whether necessarily entirely clean hands all the time is necessarily even needed or good.
I think in an environment where it's like overloaded with bacteria, it's good to wash your hands. Like, you're gonna get like traces of bacteria everywhere, regardless, right? The toilet is just it's condensed and concentrated in one area from, especially on a plane, thousands of people from all over the planet. So the likelihood of you not being immune to a certain, or someone being ill on that flight is very likely, right? So you're sharing something with them. I'd rather be more sterile in that environment. Sure, I could build an immunity over time. But
have you ever been to a toilet with somebody else and you've seen that somebody else go there, piss, hold their dick or whatever, touch several surfaces, then just leave, not wash their hands? Like, that's what I'm trying to avoid, is just that person is causing that. So, like, if you sort yourself out, I'm not saying the whole place needs to be like sterile and whatever.
Yeah,
it's more of a case of, as long as I've sorted my hands out, at least I know I can touch a sandwich and not risk anything. I don't know.
Not touch.
But like, as a
dick.
kid, I didn't, I washed my hands as a kid as well, but like, you play in the dirt and sand or whatever, and you
eat the dirt.
You kind of develop those things as a child. But should you be doing that as an adult as well? I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess you would.
Yeah, that's the thing is with vaccinations.
In passing,
that's important for adults because I think it's building an immunity as a child is different to having it as an adult because we're more compromised as adults, whereas with children you can kind of apparently. That's how common colds and things like that become circulatory things. It's because we have a jab for those that are vulnerable, but children can walk these things off somehow. I'm not sure what the science is behind that, but they are in part of the herd immunity. So I don't know. It's like getting chickenpox and chickenpox parties. It's like, get it done while you're young because you don't want it when you're older kind of thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah, there seems to be more of a serious reaction to chickenpox as an adult than when you're a child.
And I don't know why that is.
Does it turn into shingles? Not always. It doesn't always.
It
but
can.
Like,
it can be shingles.
Spinal issues, I think, as well.
Yeah. It can. I mean, again, we're working off of hazy facts here, but no, you're right. There is something to do with shingles as well. And, But yeah, no, I just mean like. Yeah, like I kind of like the idea of what you're talking, like especially in a public office and things like that, when you're making sure that everybody, like you say, if you're sharing controllers or something to play a game, you don't want a person to have just been, like stroking their butthole, and then instantly holding a controller that you're then going to share. I understand it from that perspective, definitely.
Yeah, and then just tapping keys.
You probably won't get ill from it though. That's the other thing. It's like it's just kind of gross.
Well, that's basically the crux of my argument was like. I kind of understand from like a habitual and almost like a consideration point of view, like why people are, want to maintain personal hygiene and wash their hands after doing that stuff 100%. But yeah, like I would say like, yeah, like the thing is though, unless they've got like an influenza or a transmittable disease, you aren't probably risking much apart from your own personal disgust, essentially, is why you would do it.
You don't know if someone's got something because, again, what we've learned from COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are
totally
other good arguments.
Asymptomatic, and
this is what I mean by like habitually within like an office or a public space, it does make sense because 100% you've got like things you don't know about like that going around.
You know what we should do?
Yeah.
And now I think I've got
hands.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I wash my hands. Like, I do these things. Like,
just devil's
I'm just sort of saying, like, I do it because I know other people almost, like, it's because everyone does it, right? Like, as in, I'm coming at this from a sort of challenging a norm sort of thing, which I always like and enjoy doing, whether or not it's the right thing to do or not, especially since challenging a norm tends to make you receive a lot of flack, I find. But like, like unless you have a cold or a flu or something like that, you probably won't ever notice when bacteria from one guy's, ass cheek has actually entered your body. You won't notice it.
Oh yeah,
you'd be surprised.
You won't notice it. That's why the precaution's there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm not saying don't wash your hands, and I'm not saying that I don't wash my hands. I'm just saying that, like, why do we wash our hands all the time? Like, as in, like, what's the reasons behind it? And yeah, there are good reasons for it, but then equally, I find when you're not in times of global pandemic, the answers aren't as clear. But I'm not saying don't wash your hands. I wash my hands in toilets.
Yeah, do it after the toilet. I think that's pretty normal, and I think that's
and food prep. I think food prep is the bigger one. Like, it's so easy to like touch chicken, or
raw
something,
chicken,
like touch a surface, or like
fuck me.
I didn't wash my hands, so yeah.
And obviously, you wash the raw chicken, right?
I have different fucking chopping boards for vegetables and meat.
Like, splash everywhere.
What I'm saying is, like, well, in public toilets in service stations, for example, for years and years and years, we had hand dryers that used buttons, right? And so we were washing our hands, we were fucking doing all the things that we're trying to do, and then you go up and hit the fucking hand dryer, and bam, you've just cross-contaminated with and by the way, that transmits it better than if your hands weren't covered in warm, wet water, because the warm, wet water can act as a solution for that bacteria to then live in.
Blasted
and then bam,
all over the room.
Every time. Yeah, like, so this is what I'm saying, like, I get it why you want to stop pandemics and things like that, but like in a way, there's almost like if you flush a toilet without putting the lid down, like if you flush a toilet without putting a lid down in a public toilet, you are blasting particulates up to 15 feet away from a toilet all over all the surfaces.
That's like, something I've habitually done is always lower the toilet seat before flushing.
Yeah. Same here. But especially equally, I don't expect other people to do that.
Yeah,
like I'm the same person. When I found
out
about
I wash
that,
my hands.
Yeah, and this is why I wash my hands. But I'm just
saying,
this. But we are, there's almost this. It's really hard to prescribe a course of action because there are so many variables at hand. And obviously, try and do what's best for you. Try and like do all of you. But like, yeah, it's hard. I think it's been put under a microscope for me because obviously, like at Christmas and stuff like that, I like your families and stuff are always like yeah, do you want to meet up? Do you want to do this thing? And it's like, yeah, of course, we can meet up for a day, but like, I'm going to literally stand outside with a mask on. Like, I will see you. I want obviously exchange gifts and all that sort of stuff.
No one touch your buttholes.
Well, it's like, okay, well, we got masks and we got this. Can we just quickly walk through that room to get to the outside door? And it's like, no, you can't. Like, because as soon as you create an aerosol environment inside that room where multiple people are breathing in it, you've created a spreading situation. Like, so, but the thing is, like, the government has been publishing like guidelines and things like that, and like wear this and do that and all this sort of stuff, and people then follow it, and then anything outside of that is considered like, But the reality is that if you look at any of these situations, any of these healthcare situations, any of these sterilizing situations where you're trying to create environments that are clean and safe, there's so little you can actually do, like, because of the nature of breathing, because of the nature.
The simple thing you can do is to avoid it entirely, right? Which is, when you saw the news yesterday, where they announced that they're starting to they're fining house parties now. So if you've been to a house party or something, you're going to get a £100 fine. But the limit on people was 15. So if you have a house party of 15 people, so 14 is apparently not worth a fine.
A house party,
but 15
not worth fining.
Yeah. Not worth
and
fining.
People are going to circumvent that. It's
so
like, we'll have 10.
Why would you even say that? Because you'll be like, well, there's only 14 of us, so we're absolutely fine for the
Just
money side of things.
House party.
You might get a rap on the knuckles.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so confusing that the messaging, especially when we're at the highest cases right now, and more people are dying than ever. It's such confusing messaging for people.
There are fines.
They're also trying to blame the people.
Less people, but again, like, just say a generic statement rather than specifying rules. Just say, don't do house parties. Don't go outside of your bubble. Yeah. And the bubble's only for vulnerable people, by the way. It doesn't mean other stuff right now. And only really go to the shops if you've run out of flushable wet wipes for your butt, and you definitely need to create another fatberg in the sewer system. Keep it generic. Keep it sweeping.
Yesterday they were on the news. They were just desperately trying to pull straws at, like, what could be causing this extra rise in numbers and stuff. It's like, well, okay, Christmas and New Year's probably had a huge
that 400 party wedding that was broken up
today.
Up
and walk through the lounge. What? Sorry.
The
400. Yeah, right.
People at a wedding.
Yeah, it was a wedding
that got broken up in the UK. What? I didn't know. 400 people. Sorry.
There's.
My baby's happy. This is worth it. My baby's happy. This is worth it.
There's 400 people there with zero kind of idea of what's going on. Surely. Or care.
I don't want to get into this too much in podcast, but you know what's happening, right? We're getting divided between emotive and rational opinions. Okay, so like that's what's happening, and we are being divided based on that by our government, by our the political system, by the decisions that our country has made in the last 5 years, and these are becoming emotive versus non-emotive. So like what's happened with Christmas was like a vast majority, well, not a vast majority, a large segment of us were like, hey, you know what, we can just not have Christmas. Like let's just not do it for now. It's not worth it. It's not worth, those grandparents dying. It's not worth exposing, it's not worth another fucking 6 months of lockdown just because we wanted Christmas for those couple of days, right? Then there was another section of society who, and I'm not saying that this was the wrong thing at all, because, I'm not saying that governing and making decisions emotively is a mistake, because it's not. There are really great ways to make decisions using emotion.
Yeah, we're not robots. Yeah,
but exactly, and that is important to say. But I'm saying that there was another segment of society that was like, I want Christmas because like my life this year has been shit, and I can't take it, or I physically need this to change. Like I think for some,
or my grandmother's been isolated on her own for a whole year. She deserves one day,
and she's literally crying down FaceTime to me or whatever, and I kind of get that as well. Obviously, I kind of was in the first camp personally, but that's just because my personal position was like I could do that. I wouldn't be a problem
for you to
me.
do that. Yeah,
I wouldn't lose out. Yeah, and so then now this is just becoming another fucking more emotive issues, and we're being asked to just think rationally, but then being marketed to emotionally. I think like a lot, especially our government in particular, has tried to pitch things and show decisions and stuff as emotive Britishness and the Blitz spirit and all this other bollocks, which really isn't very useful in a pandemic. And I think that it's
they're trying to avoid blame most of the time as well.
that as well.
Most of them in action at the beginning.
But that is the segment that we're coming down. Those who can afford or have the strength or space in their life to be able to make decisions where they will not engage with emotive problems, and those who do not have the resources and have to engage with things emotively because otherwise the world doesn't really make much sense to them, which is, again, fine, but that's kind of how they've grown their life. Like, be an emotive one perhaps with lots of family or something like that. I don't know. But you could see that division happening. And it's weird.
It's hard to ignore, though. Like, I mean, the 400 party thing sounds just insane to me. Only because, like, how could you have ignored the last 12 months? How could you ignore the last year of this craziness and then saying all these weddings that have been cancelled, all these other things that have been cancelled, funerals, people having to say bye to loved ones over a phone, and then they just thought, we're gonna have a wedding anyway. Fuck it, doesn't matter. We're fine. It's like how
that's the
did
thing,
everyone get
though,
tested there? Who knows? We don't know.
We are putting words in their mouth. And we are conjuring a story and putting a personality on these people. Sure, people. It's a bad idea, but we were literally saying, it'll be fine, don't worry, best for my baby, and all that kind of stuff. We don't know how or what that situation entailed, whether it's been blown up for the news. I mean, it's an anomaly, right? Like, not everyone's making. It's
just tone deaf, really, isn't it? More than anything.
Yeah.
If they were happy to risk it for themselves, sure, but they're also affecting the wider society they live in. Like, 400 people, did they travel from somewhere? Who knows? And I think it's just frustrating to watch from someone from when you've just been sat inside your own little box for 12 months, waiting this thing out and knowing that those people are just like, well, no, I've worked hard, so I'm going to do my thing. And that's where that is selfish. Like, and that is the divide you're talking about, which is annoying that it's happening. But like, if someone's making a sacrifice and someone isn't, the people making a sacrifice are going to be more pissed off. What can you do about that other than just have resentment for those people who are just happily going, I went to a wedding with 400 people. Why?
I think we need to
think about the extreme as well. Like, you're using yourself as an example, but what about these people, like, not saying, I know, I understand, like, I mean, I'm the same, it feels like you're staring at the walls all the time. But like, what about those people that are in like hospitals and, having to actively try and save these fucking people whilst exposing themselves to that same risk?
Exactly.
And you're mad. Rightfully so. I think you're mad now. Imagine what they're
mad on behalf
like.
I've heard some harrowing stuff about hospitals recently from people that are working there, and that is keeping me in here right now because I know there's some data that is not being released about deaths. I know this sounds really conspiratorial, but it's because it's harrowing. A lot of I could say it. Shall I? I may as well. Basically, old people are choosing to end their own lives in hospital beds related to COVID, but not necessarily dying of COVID because of the situation they are in at hospital. There's a lot of suicide happening. There's a lot more to it than just like, I've got asymptomatic COVID. It's not a big deal. It's like there are a lot of people that choosing and having a really shit time because of selfish actions. And so I don't want to be a part of that. So I'll take the hit of not doing Christmas right and not seeing family for a bit. I think
we all want. I think everybody wants to know. We all want to know what is it that is causing these people to still make these decisions. Like but also like not like, for example, I know somebody who wasn't flaunting the rules, but certainly wasn't taking COVID seriously. They then got it. And it's now given them mental health problems because they were so scared they were going to die. They don't know how to deal with this new reality of how vulnerable they are, really. And this person's a little bit older than us. They're in their 40s, 50s, I think, but they're a very healthy individual. And they literally like running or cycling 5 times a week. They're super fit, healthy. And I think that's in part what made them go, I'm going to be okay. I don't need to worry about this. They then got it, and it's like being waterboarded, like in that you're constantly on the edge of feeling like you need more air.
Can't breathe.
And they said that that sitting on that precipice of their own mortality and knowing that every breath could be their last gives you this gigantic, like, perplexing, oh my god, like, I'm mortal, I am scared, like, and obviously now they're like, of course I wouldn't flaunt those rules. I think what we need to do is work out what is it before that happens, before that great change of perspective happens, that is different between the people that are like, like saying, I'm terrified, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to fucking die of that shit, and those going, like, what is the difference? Because that is the
it's a detachment from the reality.
That's the division. That's the definition of the division.
Yeah.
To find out what it is that makes
those. One thing that I noticed
decisions.
Yeah. There's one thing I noticed throughout this pandemic was that we didn't have the I remember when I first heard about it, which was back in January last year. There were shots of hallways of hospitals in Wuhan, and it was insane. It literally looked straight out of a horror film. They were all like panicking. Everyone was like kind of like huddled in corners in the hallways and stuff, which is what I assume people are looking for when they go to these hospitals. They're like, the hospital hallways are clear. It's like, well, we're actually, we're handling it because we've had time, etc. But like seeing that was me going, fuck me, this looks severe. And watching like there's obviously been some recaps and stuff here and there of the news back then. They're like, there's nothing to worry about. We're absolutely fine. Obviously trusting our government to be responsible and good. And seeing that was harrowing. But we hadn't had as much of that. I haven't seen as much of that on our news.
It's not like how they
all this Trump bullshit throughout this time, so like that overtakes. But like yesterday, I saw a really fucking harrowing story on the news, and it was just like showing you these images of these horrible situations. The graves being dug.
3 doctors or 3 medical staff doing the vlogging.
Yeah,
thing,
I think it might have been. I think so.
I saw that as well, and it was fucking horrific.
Yeah, and I was like, we need to see more of this. And as harsh and as grim as it is, people need to know what's going on, because when you see that shit, you're like, all I need to do.
That's enough perspective, right?
I don't need to go to that wedding. I don't need to go to this thing. I need to, have the ball to say, I can't go to this family thing. Sorry, this is why.
Because it almost empowers you, right?
The importance
to make those decisions and go like, you know what? Yeah, this isn't worth it. Like I forgot for a while, but no, you're right. This isn't worth it. I mean, I totally agree.
It's worse.
I think it's grim, but it's those type of things which if you don't see it, you don't believe it, or you don't feel like it's that serious, or you're like, well, I haven't seen much. My family seems to be fine, so everything's
fine. It just
fine.
takes a story like that.
One thing won't make a difference, but it is making a difference. Those numbers make a difference. Straight after Christmas, we saw those numbers go up.
Yeah, I'm surprised the government hasn't done the same drink drive campaign or cigarette campaign that they have with this, because it was more deadly than those things. But it's all money, right? I guess. Or it's fear-mongering.
It's also the bounce off. We're just talking about the virus. We're just talking about the virus itself. But it's all the people who've lost their jobs, all the people who are like kind of like just in dire situations because of this situation. Anyone who's waiting for surgeries, anyone who is waiting for the NHS to be at a situation where they can take other patients that aren't just affected by COVID. All of this stuff adds up. And whenever I think, oh, fuck, I could just do this thing, or I could drive over there, or I could do that, that does pop into my mind. But it should pop into everyone's mind, and they should be going, fuck, okay, it's not worth it. Like, I also don't want to be locked down for this period of time. Nobody does. You can't get anything done. And the vaccine's here, so it's like, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. That should be a promising thing to everyone to rally together and go, this is all we need to do now. That's it.
Pretty much.
Stay inside until the fucking
hard for some,
we're done.
sure, I know, and obviously people need to work, and I get that, but like,
I think confidence
if there's unnecessary things like weddings, that's fucked up.
I think confidence builds in oneself and their individualism when they're locked down and nothing is happening to them. And over time, it's like, I've lasted a whole year and I've been out and about, and I've been edging my limits every time I go out. It's like, at this time I wore a mask around my nose, nothing happened. This time I went to the shop with loads of people were there. I haven't got COVID. And they're slowly building up that self-perpetuating confidence that nothing is happening. And then they're reading on Facebook or whatever of other people like, I haven't got it yet. I feel like this is all fake and overblown, and you can see how easy it is to fall into that trap of like, I'm fed up of listening to all these rules when nothing has affected me or my friends or anyone around me, and you just get into that trap of believing yourself because you haven't experienced anything else. You haven't given yourself another perspective until it hits you like a truck.
How bad do you think the obvious signs of this virus would have to be for people to take it seriously in that way? Like, would people have to be coughing up blood? Would people have to be like, look like a zombie? Like, do you think that, like, what level of visibility do you think it would have to have for people to go, I don't want that? Rather than go, oh, it's a flu, let's just, don't bother, don't worry, it's just a flu, you'll brush off.
Yeah, so I guess that's the problem, right? Is it's like, it's a cough, it's flu-y symptoms, and then some people can't breathe properly. I have wheeziness all the time. You know, it's relatable, and it's like stuff that you get over every year because you get the common cold every year. I guess it needs to be something that's far different from that. But even then, I think the problem is there's going to be people that never get it that also believe it didn't happen, even if half the world turns into zombies. You're still going to get people that can be swayed and manipulated into believing that that doesn't exist. It's not happening in our country, or so it's all about perspective. Yeah, pretty harrowing stuff to end on a hat chat, but that's what's going through our minds right now.
The pluses are that the vaccine's being it's being pushed out there. Like, what is it, 5 million yesterday or something?
Some good changes
in the UK,
happening.
At least. I know that obviously they're starting to in America now. They've got some leadership there, which is good.
They got a new president.
Change, which since our last podcast, they've finally got Biden in.
Dr. Fauci's on
like there was
podium.
It almost felt like they were washing their own hands of this ridiculousness and changing some of the crazy policies that he applied beforehand.
Politics aside,
so
it's good that there's a drive there for protection and safety and health. Like, that's been talked about, and there's a doctor and a scientist, back on the podium with facts. That's what I like to see. And put politics aside, health and safety is being talked about. That's great. And so's climate. That's great too. I'm happy. All the good things.
Yeah. It's just things that you just thought were quite sensible at the time. Yeah, it's nice to see that they're pushing in the right direction, at least.
Indeed. And it's not all about just like, we did this, we did that, we've done the best we ever can. Just put that aside. Stop putting awards on a shelf. Worry about the actual problems, not your own accolades. Yeah, I'm glad that's not.
Because they said that there was apparently there was a non-existent push for the vaccine planned beforehand. Right. So they came into it with just a blank canvas, like, oh, fuck. And they found that
none of this has been done.
Trump has a button that just sends for someone to get him some Diet Coke.
Oh yeah, that got removed.
There's like a button on his desk just to push it, and then he gets a Diet Coke.
But this is the thing, like, that's the news now, and I'm grateful for that to be the news and not some crazy law or insane thing that has been done. It's just boring news again, and Joe Biden wears the wrong tie to this event. I want to go back to that news because Obama got that torn into him. I'm looking forward to that.
The tan suit.
The tan suit, Anyway, any final thoughts?
Ross, do you have a Pepsi Max button?
I wish I did. If I wasn't president, I would, have one installed somewhere, but I can walk to a fridge if I want one. So that's good. That's fine.
Nice.
Yeah. You won't rule it out.
Otherwise, that's a grim end to this one. But hopefully things look up in the next one. In 2 weeks, things change every other week here. So you never know. But we've also got plenty of funny news stories for then as well. So we're wrapping them up. And also send in stuff. It was good of Lackland to send some stuff in. That's at hatchat@hat-films.com. Also send your fingals in there if you've got funny little songs. There was another funny one which maybe we can use next week that was a really silly a cappella one which we can use. So be creative. Just have fun with it and send that in to us, and that'd be good for Hat Chat.
And I did just show
and
it
thank
on
you
screen.
to Patreon supporters.
Yes,
as well.
Thank you for our Patreon supporters. You're keeping us going. You're supporting us.
Indeed.
We don't have any sponsorships on this Hat Chat right now. Other than, you got any objects around you, Smith? No?
Scott, what have I
anything
got
coming
here?
through?
I've got, actually, this is a great one, but it's currently filled with water because I'm using it again. Waitrose, no added sugar, summer fruits juice squash.
Wow.
This shit's fantastic. It's my favorite squash. I'm not even lying.
Mm-hmm.
But currently it's got water in it. So Waitrose or John Lewis and Partners, call me up.
Nice.
Yeah, because I would love a discount really, I mean,
he'd like a bottle
premium stuff. Any discount code or anything like that for the audience right now? Or?
Hat juice.
Hat juice.
Hat juice. And you can just put that into your web browser and hope for the best.
He drinks it without diluting it. That's how good it is. Don't need to dilute it. It's that tasty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Waitrose, specifically for that juice. Appreciate it.
Very good juice.
Sponsor there.
If you could get in touch, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, thank you, Patreon. You get credits at the end of the video. So if you don't know, if you're listening to us right now, we have a YouTube channel where we put up the visuals for this as well. So please check that out and subscribe to that. We also do Hat Gaming, which is another YouTube channel. We got 3 channels. Yeah, we know. Hat Gaming is where we put all our gaming stuff. We do a lot of streams, and then they get edited down really nicely by Craig, and puts them on Hat Gaming. And then Hat Films is our main channel, where we've been recently, like we spoke about at the start, reacting to all our old vlogs and stuff. So that's quite a nice nostalgia trip if you're interested. And yeah, that's about it from us today. We'll see you all in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for listening to Hat Chat.
Indeed.
And
thank you.
We will have our dear Fingal maker, Sisma, playing us out with the final long version.
A fingler.
He's a fingler.
He's a fingler.
Don't forget to send yours in. Thank you. And goodbye from us.
Ta-ra!
Bye.